Hello, Kathy here, and thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. One quick thing I'd love to share is about my new digital training course, The Most Powerful You, which is the companion to my book, The Most Powerful You, 7 Bravery Boosting Paths to Career Bliss. I'm so thrilled that recently a division of the largest intergovernmental agency in the world sponsored several memberships to the Most Powerful You course for members of their staff. And what a powerful move that is in terms of bringing real world effective training to both men and women to help them thrive in the workforce. Coaching so many people as I do each year, I see that leadership and career growth training programs today are so often not effective because they simply don't go deep enough to address what really holds us back from thriving, believing in ourselves, understanding our talents and abilities, communicating effectively, asking for what we need and deserve, networking to build a great support community, and making the impact we long to. So I'd love to make an ask of you, and that is to briefly take a look at what I'm teaching in the Most Powerful You course. And you can find that at mostpowerfulyou.com. And if you feel that the content about the 7 damaging power gaps and how to close those for good would be helpful for you and people at your organization, I hope you'll ask your supervisors, HR leaders, and diversity and inclusion managers to sponsor memberships of this course for you and other staff so that you can all thrive at the highest level in your roles and organizations. Thank you so much. And here's to you becoming the most powerful you. When you're getting together with family, with friends, with your parents, with your siblings, don't keep using the stories from the past as an excuse to feel what you feel today. Hello, everyone. This is Kathy Caprino, and welcome to my podcast, Finding Brave. I've created this show for everyone who longs to create something bold and brave in their life, to rise up, speak up, and stand up for who they are and to reach their highest and biggest visions. Each week, I'll be speaking with inspiring guests from all walks of business, leadership, entertainment, the creative arts, and the entrepreneurial world. And they'll be sharing their intimate stories of finding brave and offer their best strategies for building your most rewarding, joyful, and meaningful life, business, and career. Hello, everyone. Kathy Caprino here. Very excited to come to you today, which is Thanksgiving week here in the U.S. And I just wanted to give you a heads up that this episode is a repeat from December of 2018. But in reviewing it, I think it still has some concepts and ideas and strategies that I hope you'll find very helpful in reducing conflict with friends and family members this holiday season and beyond. I do want to say, since we recorded that episode 50, I have had some other conversations with people about topics that you'll also find of great help this time of year. I want to point you to episode 186 with Joseph Grenny about how to have those difficult but crucial conversations with friends and colleagues. Basically, how to talk about things in a way that don't destroy bridges, but keep those bridges sound and safe. And episode 195 with Dr. Fred Luskin about how to forgive someone when you feel you can't. Definitely check those out. So good for this time of year when we're thrown together with people that can be difficult for us. I hope you find this helpful, and a wonderful Thanksgiving to you. Welcome to Finding Brave. Kathy Caprino here. And I am coming to you right before the Christmas holiday. And wow, if you're as busy as I am, you're tired. And I hope you'll forgive my voice, a little croaky, because I am in the throes of singing. This is the season to sing. And as you know, I sing on the side. And oh my goodness, we had rehearsal this morning and we're singing tomorrow. And it is so fun and it is such a blessing and I love it so much. There's something about coming together with people, some of whom you may know, some of whom you don't know, you don't sing together regularly, but you come and you work hard. You know, music is a language really that you're focused on producing together in the most beautiful way. And I just love it. And, a lot of how it works, when it works well, I think feeds into what we're going to be discussing today, which is how to reduce pain and conflict with family and friends this holiday. Woohoo! This is actually, I'm looking at my watch. I want to make sure I keep this to no more than 30 minutes, maybe 20. But truly, it could be a year-long. It is a year-long program for a lot of people, I think, or a webinar or a week training. So my point here is to give you 5 practical, doable strategies to find ways to lovingly, compassionately, in a joyful, graceful, grateful way, be with your family and your friends and your colleagues this holiday and make it as stress and conflict-free as possible. Okay. And where do I get these tips? Primarily, they come from my years as a therapist and my training as a therapist and as a coach. And in some ways, I've been a mediator, not officially, but in a lot of other ways in my work life, in corporate life. And also it comes from my own life, lessons I've learned. And by no means am I a saint or an angel, but I've learned a heck of a lot about what I need to do to make sure that the time I have with my family and friends is as loving as it can be and pain-free as it can humanly be. So let's jump in. What are these 5 strategies, solutions, and tips? All right. The first, I want to tell you, I had a real awakening of this a few weeks ago in my own life. But the first is let go of the stories you keep telling yourself from the past with this person. Let go of the stories that you are keeping alive and fresh when they happened years and years ago. So let me talk a little about this. Research is showing that we actually aren't remembering what's happened accurately. We are overlaying emotion every time we retell a story in our mind and every time we retell it to someone else. So we're actually not seeing it the way it happened, which is so absurd when you think about how often we repeat a story as justification for why you should be upset at this person. Well, they did this. So, and I hate them for it, or they betrayed me and I can't get over it. All right. So I want to give you a little personal anecdote, but I won't make it too long-winded, but long and the short of it is when I was 16, here's the story that I was reliving, and I finally decided to let it go. I was 16. I broke my leg, the tibia bone, vaulting in gym. It was a bad break. I had to wear a full leg cast. And I know this sounds like, what does this have to do with family? But I'm going to tell you the story. The doctor was an ass, frankly. And he said, don't come back to me that this itches. Casts itch. And this was a long time ago. I'm 58. So, long time. He said, just bear with it and don't take a hanger and try to scratch under the cast. Well, about 4 days into it, I couldn't bear it. Something felt very, very wrong in my leg under the cast. And I told my dad, who was a scientist and kind of a stoic guy, but he believed me. And I remembered feeling so vindicated. And he took me back to the doctor. And the doctor, you remember these silly things till the day you die. But he looked at me like, oh, here she goes. What a whiner. And my dad knew I was stoic. I could take a lot of pain. He said, she says it's bad. It's bad. So he cut open the cast, a window in the cast. And I had what he saw there. He went, oh. I had a massive allergic reaction to the cast. And there were black pussy welts. Oh, it was gross. And he had to cut off the cast. And boy, was he quiet when he was doing that, because he was thinking I was a big 16-year-old whining little girl. Ooh, so mad. And so I couldn't wear a cast. I had to have a flexible kind of whatever you call it. I went home and I was laying on my bed and my leg looked horrible. It had atrophied and it was skinny and black and it was hideous. And I started to cry. And this individual, another individual in my family who I'm not going to name, actually got mad at me for being upset and screamed at me, "What are you crying about?" And it sounds like the smallest thing. Like, why would I remember that? But what I remembered, like a thundering realization, was that, I can't really be myself with this person. I can't show fear. I can't cry. I can't be vulnerable because it upsets this person too much. And it changed me. It changed me, truthfully. It changed my whole life. That realization that I wasn't going to get what I needed. So why I bring it up is I saw this individual recently, and I want to tell you that something happened. I'm not going to bore you with it, but that story came back to me. And this is now, how many years? 42 years later. Really? You're really going to be thinking about the story about the cast in your leg? And that event was so traumatic and so emotionally laden that it was as if it happened yesterday. And how many of you are listening, nodding your head, that there's been something with a friend, a sibling, a parent, an aunt, a teacher, a lover, that it happened 40 years ago, but you feel like it was yesterday, and you get as emotionally triggered when you think about it as if it were yesterday? Well, what I'm going to say to you is, after a bit of a discussion with another family member who said, you can tell that story really as much as you want, but I don't think you realize how many times you've talked about that. And it saddens me that you feel that so actively still. And you know how sometimes you'll hear something and it won't get through. You'll be like, but this time it got through like a piercing arrow. And I was ready to change. And I was ready to let this story go and to realize it may not even have happened exactly as I have so etched in my brain and my heart and my soul. And on top of that, this person has changed dramatically. Am I going to still hold this person to that betrayal? Am I still going to do that? So what I want you to think about is, when you're getting together with family, with friends, with your parents, with your siblings, don't keep using the stories from the past as an excuse to feel what you feel today. Let it go. Let go of that story, especially if the person has changed, especially if you're operating in a whole different arena now, but you're still acting as if you're 16. Someone shared with me a quote, and I'm sorry, I don't know the person's name who said it, but they said, the past is in your head. The future is in your hands. So think about the stories. Here's the tip. Think about the stories you tell about these people, about how they hurt you, betrayed you, let you down, offended you, pissed you off, from the past, and let go of the story. Okay? And I promise you, and here's another piece of that. When you're about to tell the story, and here I am telling the story, and I said I wasn't going to, but I'm turning my mess into a message. When you're about to tell the story to yourself or someone else, don't do it. Say something else. Okay? Hi, Kathy here. Are you stressed or anxious? Having trouble sleeping? Is all the stress you're dealing with making it hard to get things done? Or to feel happy and healthy, to be your best? Wouldn't it be amazing if you could dissolve anxiety, boost energy, and sleep easier on demand? What if you had reliable ways to get focused, prevent headaches, and improve your mood anytime? Well, I have a fantastic resource for you, and it's called Quick Calm. It's the new self-paced video series led by my colleague and friend, Jordan Friedman, who's also been a guest here on Finding Brave. In this powerful series, Jordan teaches you 10 tested and fast-acting stress and anxiety reduction techniques that he's brought to audiences for 25 years, including in his role as director of Columbia University's health education program. Test it out for yourself. Jordan's giving our Finding Brave listeners 20% off QuickCalm. Just go to quickcalm.net and use coupon code FindingBrave to get your 20% savings today. Tip number 2 about how to reduce pain and conflict with family and friends this holiday. I heard from a woman yesterday, and I get a lot of these emails. I get handwritten letters. I hear from a lot of people who would listen to what I just said and say to me, I cannot let go of the past. I can't move beyond it. If this is you, then there is a fact I'm about to state, which is this: unequivocally, you need outside help. As Einstein has said, I so love this quote, you cannot solve a problem on the level of consciousness that created it. You are going to need outside help. And I want to say this. I've heard from 1 million people. No, that's an exaggeration. No, probably 1,000 in 13 years who have said, I went to a therapist and he stunk. A woman just told me yesterday, she suffered from extreme narcissism, her mother, and she's 50, and she went to a psychiatrist, and he said something like, when are you going to get over it? And I want you to know that is not what I'm saying in point one. It's not get over yourself. It's look at if you're telling a story that is keeping that person and you trapped in the past as people that you are no longer. That's what I'm saying about that. Back to this point, this woman said, the psychiatrist said, just get over it. When are you going to get over it? Well, anyone who's had any kind of pain and trauma knows you don't just get over it. You don't just wake up and say, woohoo, I'm over it. It's in there. It's in your energy system. It's trauma. So you need healing or therapy or energy healing or acupuncture or tapping. There are 1,000 different ways you can heal when you can't let something go, when you can't shift your level of consciousness. So the tip here is this. There's a lot of good therapists and there's a lot of bad therapists. Just like there's good accountants, good driving instructors, good house cleaners. There's some horrible therapists and psychiatrists and anything you can think of. There's horrible ones. On top of that, there's good ones that maybe you don't fit with. I mean, I've fired or walked out of or said no to a lot of service providers, doctors, dentists, therapists. We're not a fit. And you don't have to make a big deal about it. You can just call. You have one session. It doesn't go well. You don't feel right. You call and say, I really thank you for your time. I appreciate the support you're trying to give me. I don't think we're a good fit stylistically. So thank you. I will be pursuing someone else, but thanks again. That's it. Big deal. But don't let, and I want to tell you, I hear this a lot, that therapy wasn't helpful. Some people almost wear it as a badge of honor that their therapist wasn't helpful. If you've gone to 4 therapists and they're not helpful, you're the problem. You are the problem. You don't want to change. Some people, and some of these people are really close in my life. It's almost as if a therapist were able to help you, you think that then your problem isn't as great as you want it to be. What I mean is, let me say that another way. You're struggling. Let's say you want a divorce. You hate your husband. You go to a therapist, and the therapist is trying to support you and figuring out what part could you control, what part within you can be accountable. And you don't want that. You perhaps just want the therapist to say your spouse stinks. Well, it's possible that that isn't what's going to be concluded by the therapist. So sometimes you don't really want to hear that you could be in more control of how you feel than you are. So you make the therapist wrong and you go to 2 other therapists and none of them help. If that is you, then I'm imploring you to understand that you might be pushing away help, because good help is going to make you change, going to inspire you, encourage you, support you to change. That's good help. Bad help is letting you wallow where you are. That's not helpful. So there are so many different kinds of healing and help. Please know that there's so many different styles, so many different types. Don't give up and say there isn't good, affordable help out there. There is. Okay? The third tip about how to reduce pain and conflict over the holidays with your family and friends is to assert your boundary and say no when you know that engaging with this person is going to be hurtful. So I'm going to give you a brief example. I just spoke to a fellow I was singing with recently who talked about a family member who has Alzheimer's. And he goes to see her, and he's saying that it turns abusive, violently abusive. I mean, horrible words he's never heard come out of this loved one's mouth. And he's so torn because he wants to be there for her, but she's abusive. So, the former therapist in me wanted to ask, but before I could ask, he volunteered that it's interesting. It goes pretty well the first half hour. And then after that, it's bad. And that's what I was going to suggest. I was going to ask, does it always look abusive and feel abusive from the minute you walk in? Because I've heard this from other people, and I'm not an Alzheimer's expert at all, but I've heard that it devolves into something terrible. So I said to him, then only go for a half hour. Just go and leave. I could tell he didn't want to not see this family member. That would make him feel guilty and sad, and he wants to be there for her, but he doesn't want to be abused. So assert your boundary. Assert your boundary. I need to get what I need to get, and I need to give what I want to give. And what I want to give is a half hour of my time, but I don't want to be abused. Sometimes it's really that simple. Oh, I don't stay an hour, I stay a half hour. Or, oh, as that family member starts to get drunk, I'm not going to sit in the living room with him. I'm going to go in the kitchen with the other family members. Okay? I'm not going to sit with a belligerent drunk. Why would I? Why do I need to? So assert your boundaries and say no to engaging in a way that's going to hurt you or upset you. Keep your distance, keep it contained, right? Okay. It's really simple. It isn't that hard. Well, it's simple, but sometimes it is hard. I don't mean to downplay that. Number 4 tip is don't take the bait and go down the rabbit hole and talk about what you can never agree on. And you know what I'm talking about. Typically, it's politics and religion, but it can be a million things. It can be about the military. It can be about something that just came out in the news. It can be about a tweet that infuriates you. It can be about the Me Too movement. It can be about gender equality. It can be about a change that's happening in your town that you're violently against. Don't take the bait and talk about the thing that you know that you will never see eye to eye on. Why do it? But so many of us, let me give an example. I'm a liberal. My mom, for instance, is a staunch Republican. We cannot and do not talk about politics. But it's funny. Every once in a while, I'll slip and ask a question that I think is safe. But if I really were to think about it, I got to know it's not safe. Then it's almost like, a thread that starts unraveling your knitting. And before you know it, your beautiful hat has turned into one long piece of frayed wool. Again, that's a boundary issue there. Don't take the bait. Don't talk about politics if you can't. Okay? Don't do it. And for many people, there are certain things that wear down their commitment to not talking about things that are going to be inflammatory. Booze, drugs, exhaustion, resentment, those things wear us down. So you might come in, at 2 p.m, fresh from your car ride to your parents' house or your friend's house, and you say to yourself, well, I'm not talking politics. And then 2 hours later, after 3 mimosas, there you go. You can't help yourself. So please don't take the bait. And if you need to not have that third mimosa so that you don't have a rip-roaring fight, a brawl, then don't have the third mimosa. I think you'll be grateful that you didn't. Number 5, this is something to remember and hold close. People are more than their political or religious views. People's views and mindsets have been shaped by so many different influences, experiences, traumas, high points, low points, betrayals. We are shaped by so many things. And, so somebody, I forget who, said, be kind, to everyone you meet because you don't know the hidden battle that they're facing. Oh, that brings tears to my eyes. Everybody's facing a hidden struggle. Everybody, or almost everybody I know who's honest enough to admit. So isn't it true that, let's go back to the choir analogy. I sing every week with a group of people from age 22 to 81. Isn't that remarkable? And a good number of them, huge number, are not affiliated with my views, in many different ways. But that doesn't stop us from loving seeing each other, loving singing with each other. We always have a snack and some drinks afterwards. We stand around. These people are in the fabric of my life for 13 years. I love these people. And they are more than their religious beliefs or their spiritual beliefs or their political beliefs. They're more than that. They're a heart. They're a soul. They're a spirit. And you can be loving and engage with people in a loving way, even if they didn't vote the way you voted. So don't put people in a rigid category and make them one-dimensional. That's what bigotry is. Women are this, men are strong, women are vulnerable and weak. The liberals are this, Republicans are that. The people from the South are this, white people are that. That's just bigotry. That's just discriminatory thinking. We're more than all of this. So try to find, I guess this is how I'm going to sum up these tips. Dig deep in your heart this holiday season and beyond, of course, and embrace the good and the kind and the loving and the compassionate in yourself and in other people. Make it a commitment to see the good that's there. Very few people are all evil, very few. Most of us have dark and light inside of us, right? Emphasize what you have in common and what you love together and what brings you together and your shared histories and your shared commonalities and what you admire and respect and appreciate together. And if you can hold that tight, how we are similar, because we're much more similar than we're different. If you can hold that in your heart, your holiday is going to go very differently, and so will your whole life. I hope that's helpful, my friends. I'd love to hear if you use these tips and did it make a difference for you. I know all of these have made a difference in my life dramatically. And it took a lot of therapy and then becoming a therapist to get it through my thick skull. But these tips do work if you can really embrace them. I hope you have a beautiful holiday and that you find much more love and compassion and togetherness and less conflict this week, this month, and for the rest of your life. All right, my friends, I'll see you next week. Happy holidays. Bye now. Hello, Kathy here. With the new year coming up, it's the perfect time to start taking steps towards your business's financial future. If you'd like to grow your business as a coach or consultant, but the thought of figuring out how to do that stresses you out, I want to share something that will give you real peace of mind. Brave by Design has created a digital calculator that shows you how you can double your revenue in 2022. I've used it myself, and I love how easy it is to plan out your year and see where the money will come in. It's free and available at bravebydesign.net/calculator. Brave by Design founder Laura Khalil has been on Finding Brave twice, most recently discussing the 3 key questions you need to ask yourself if you want to grow your business now. And I know you'll find the revenue calculator helpful and a great complimentary resource to that episode. If you're ready to make 2022 the best year yet, grab your free download today at bravebydesign.net/calculator. Thanks so much for joining us today. And please don't forget to check out findingbrave.org for more programs, resources, and tips. And tune in next time for your weekly dose of Finding Brave.